So, ladies and gentlemen, this skater was probably one of the most underrated athlete in the NHL in the 1980s, whose road to the NHL was kind of bizarre because he went a route that brought up aspects of racism we didn't think still existed in major league sports. Of course, we're going to be talking today about Tony McKegney, in my opinion, the first superstar black forward in NHL history, although we've had black players before, and Grant Fuhr's playing with Buffalo, with Edmonton, later with Buffalo. Tony McKegney overcame a lot to have a successful NHL career for a number of top flight squads, and almost had a WHA career, but we'll tell you in a few seconds what happened there. Now, he played 13 seasons in the NHL from 1979 until 91. Now, Tony, who's adopted, is the brother of former Chicago Blackhawk Ian McKegney. His brother is white, but he came just like our other McKegney that was drafted by Montreal from the great hockey city of Sarnia, Ontario. Now, he was born in Montreal, but was adopted soon after his birth on February 15, 1958, and raised by a white family, again in Sarnia. Now, as a teenager, he played junior B hockey in Sarnia, and he was following in the footsteps of his older brother Ian, who had been a star with the Sarnia Legionnaires before moving on to the pros. Now, age 20, McKegney eventually signed a contract with the now defunct World Hockey Association, only see the owner illegally renege on the deal after fans threatened to boycott the team for having added a black player to its roster. Well, their loss, ladies and gentlemen, because in 4 seasons with the Kingston Canadiens, when he was one of the best OMJHL players in that franchise's history, 77 seasons, he's third with the club. He had 135 points in the regular season and 23 points in the playoffs. In his final year, 1978, his draft year, he had 92 points in a regular season and 6 points in the playoffs. Now, Tony McKegney can be best described as kind of a Steve Shutt, Joe Sakic side. Good shot, good passing play, good transitional game. But at age 20, you would think that the Bulls would stand up for McKegney because, no offense, I mean, it was 1979, but to live in the past like that, that kind of actually hurt them into possibly getting into the NHL. Some of the owners at the time said, okay, look how he treated McKegney. We don't want anything to do with the Birmingham franchise from a racist standpoint. Now, according to many, the Bulls' loss was the NHL's gain, especially the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres drafted him in the 78 draft, 32nd overall. He started with the Bears with 21 goals in 24 games for Hershey, and in his part of a season with Buffalo, he had 22 points. But his full season in NHL put up some big numbers, 52 points, including 23 goals. Now, from then, he had some very successful seasons in Buffalo, moved on to Quebec in 84 and 85, was part again of the Battle of the Quebec years, later went on to Minnesota, but his big resurgence in his career came with the Rangers in 87, where he topped 30 goals. St. Louis in 1988 scored 40 goals, and 1990 ended up back on the score sheet through the Nordiques, his second tour of duty with the Nordiques. He did play in Italy for a short while, played Team Canada International in 92, and finished up his career with the San Diego Gulls in the IHL. Now, his Team Canada performances, he was part of that great World Championship team in 78 for Team Canada. I call it the Western Conference players. How it worked back in the day when a team did not make the playoffs, players would be selected, but because he was a high-ranked player coming out of Kingston, he was selected again to be part of that squad at the Junior Championships. 8 points in 6 games. Now, the World Juniors that year, a lot of great graduates, and McKegney's number were impressive. Now, he almost had 1,000 games in NHL, ended up with 320 goals, 319 assists for 639 points, and in the playoffs, 79 games, 24 goals, 23 assists for 47 points. Now, when he ended his career in the NHL with the Blackhawks, Terry Crisp, who was on the Canadian national team and was also head coach of Tampa Bay Lightning, raised the notion that McKegney could come back to the NHL to play with Tampa. He felt he could be a veteran leader for expansion club, but he's playing with the San Diego Gulls. Showed that his career was pretty well faded out. I think he would have been very good with Tampa Bay, because McKegney could prove he could play any place. I remember the years he played in Quebec. If you made a mistake, McKegney would score. That's how it worked. But ladies and gentlemen, the big year for me, in my personal opinion, was Minnesota in '85 in the playoffs. He really, really hit the twine that year. 14 points in 9 games. But he, given the opportunity, like I said, if he would have stayed with Quebec past the Sackey years, because he was with Quebec, ladies and gentlemen, in some of their key times. You look at '84, his 51 points that year really secured him. I don't really know why Quebec got rid of him in '85. It's still a head scratcher, because if Stastny's and McKegney would have continued to play on the same line, it would have been tremendous. But Tony McKegney, for me, I don't see color with Tony. I see him as comparable to Steve Shutt, like I said, Joe Sakic. But McKegney in Buffalo had a really, really marquee season in '81, and he helped rebuild the franchise. You understand, Gilbert Perreault was still there, and let me tell you, they had an offense back then, ladies and gentlemen, and they would have had better results. But the early '80s in the NHL, if you scored 5 goals on a weak team, you might lose. He was not known for his defense, is what I'm saying, and maybe that's why he shifted from team to team. But I still think with Black Lives Matter and the celebration of the black athlete, we know that he took certain aspects of racism, especially in Birmingham. But I think when it comes down to it, for me, his 2 runs with the Nordiques really stand out, because not everybody could put up with the Battle of Quebec years. They're very stressful. Doesn't matter what player it is. And I don't remember, to my knowledge, him getting much, being involved much in the Quebec-Montreal brawls, because who would want to beat up Tony McKegney? I heard he's a very nice guy. So, the Montreal Canadiens should have tried to gut him. You look at when Lehman and Muller and Brian Bellows were brought in, I think McKegney would have been a great fit. But the problem is, the '89 season, there was no way St. Louis would have gave him up, because, he scored 65 games in St. Louis in 2 seasons, and that's the player Montreal needed for the stretch run. But who knows, in a parallel universe, maybe both McKegneys are playing for Montreal, because we know the other McKegney, the other black McKegney, was signed by Montreal as the second black player under contract in NHL history. Very interesting McKegney legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Bye.